Good day and welcome back to the Family Cyber Tips Daily, where on Tuesdays we focus on tech and parenting. Parents, if you think your child or children are safe just because they are at home, please think again. Netflix's Adolescence shows how online dangers, social media, toxic communities, and peer pressure can lead even good kids down dark paths. Could this happen to your child? Stay tuned as I break down 5 critical lessons every parent needs to know. So first I will ask, have you seen the new Netflix series? It's called Adolescence. Now, my wife was the one who mentioned that she got some vibes from work where her colleagues were telling her, have you seen Adolescence? And I have a Netflix subscription, and we took time to watch all episodes. If I'm not wrong, there are 6. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but it's a mini series and it's called Adolescence. I understand that not everyone would have a Netflix subscription, but those who have, it's a chilling look at how social media, toxic online spaces, and peer pressure can lead even good kids down a dark path. As parents, we can't afford to ignore the lessons in this show. So in the next few minutes, I'll break down those 5 key takeaways that I mentioned earlier and how you can protect your kids online, okay? So let's dive in. Toxic online communities are real. In the series, I'll call him the key character, Jamie gets drawn into online spaces that glorify violence and hatred. These groups exist in real life too, okay? If I'm giving you a tip, I'll ask you, as I've done all these 6 years, monitor your child's digital spaces. Check who they follow, what they're watching, and where they are chatting. You can do this by setting up Google Alerts with your child's name to stay informed, okay? Remember that not all online communities are safe. Some actively manipulate vulnerable kids. All right? It's very, very important. Another area that was quite significant would be social media can be a weapon. You know, we've always said that social media is a tool, and there are many good things about it. But evidently, through the series In View, we definitely know that it can be used as a weapon. Jamie's actions were influenced by social media, cyberbullying, and the pressure to prove himself online. Another tip that I will give you, that again we have shared on this platform numerous times: teach your kids that online actions have real life consequences. Okay? Discuss cyberbullying and make sure that they know how to report and block harmful content. If you have your child by you or later on, ask your child, have you ever seen someone being harassed online? How did you feel? You know, get a vibe, get some feeling, if you like, get some connection. You know, we've urged you parents, myself included, to really get down with these young ones. They deserve every time investment, you know, to get to know how they're doing online. It's important. Really, it's important. Now, this is not me praying that this should happen to your child. I'm doing this so that you prevent them from ending up like that key character in Adolescence, okay? Let's look at a third area, and that will be no child is immune to online influence. No matter how hard you try, there is a place for prayer, absolutely so. But if your child is engaging online, they're not immune to the online influence. Jamie, the key character, came from a loving home. And that was broken, if you remember. Absolutely broken. The mom also. They all feel that they contributed to the son's situation. So even having come from a loving home, Jamie still fell into a dangerous mindset. Even good kids, like I mentioned, can be affected. Okay? Another tip, don't assume that this can't happen to your child. Don't say, not my child, over my dead body. Every child faces digital temptations as they do real world physical temptations. Check in beyond grades and behavior. I know we target those things because they're important, but go beyond that. Ask them about their emotions, their friends, and their online expectations. You know what? Try this. Have a weekly digital check-in with your young one where you casually discuss their online world. You'll be amazed at what you'll discover. Okay? We're very careful to make sure that we're not pushing you to go and binge on Netflix series. That's not the intention. But this is a trending series, mini-series, that is gathering momentum. Okay? Let's look at another key feature, isolation. Isolation can lead to bad decisions. And we saw that again. Jamie felt isolated and turned to online groups for validation. So if you're not engaging with your young one, the chances are that they will look for validation elsewhere. God forbid that it's online, where the kid being vulnerable can be easily manipulated. Many kids do it. It's not just limited to Jamie's portrayal in the miniseries. Many kids, some of them are doing the same thing today. The isolation they feel leads them to bad decisions. Okay? It's really important that we get this right, really. There is no shortcut. Get this right. A tip that I'll give you will be encourage strong offline connections. Get them away from online, binging. Encourage them to have strong offline connections. Make sure your child has positive real world friendships and activities. Don't just get sucked in. Oh, my child is chatty. He's communicating with his online peers or acquaintances and feel that that's enough. Now, when it gets bad, they're stuck. So balance it as we discuss with offline real world friendships and activities. Okay? And again, another thing you can try is limit screen time before bed. Nighttime. Scroll, if your child scrolls often, especially at nighttime, it leads to exposure to harmful content. There are rogues that are just, waiting for the vulnerable kid to come, especially at nighttime, so that they can expose them to harmful content. You find that they always want to be in their room. And if you have a lock on their door, which appropriately, if the child is underage, that shouldn't be. But if they have a lock on their door, they lock the door and you can't see or find out what's going on. So make sure you are doing this and do it appropriately, okay? Let's look at another area, and that's critical thinking. Critical thinking. Empathy, if you like, and critical thinking can save lives, without a doubt. They can save lives. Jamie lacked empathy for others. You saw his conversation with that shrink, the second one. It was mind-blowing. You know, he lacked empathy for others. In fact, at one point, my wife and I really believed he had a double personality. I don't think I dug too deep to find out whether that was the case, but that was my summation. So something that we intentionally have to teach our kids is empathy for others. If your child shows any sign of not, a lack of emotion concerning another child's misfortune or anybody's misfortune for that matter, those are alarm bells, red flags, okay? The tip that I will leave will be help your kids understand the impact of their words, okay? And actions. Discuss real life stories of online harm and how to avoid being part of the problem. Go ahead and ask your child, how would you feel if someone shared something embarrassing about you online? And get to know how they react to that thought. It will tell you a lot, okay? It will tell you a lot. Well, in some way, we are grateful for the mini-series, Adolescence. It shouldn't take a mini-series to inform us. But I thought that bringing this to the community will help us understand that these things are real, okay? These things are real, and as parents, we must stay vigilant. The digital world is shaping our kids every day because they're on it. As we often say, it is their playground. Shows like Adolescence on Netflix are a wake-up call for all of us. And that's why it's popular. That's why it's trending. Because many parents relate. So please talk to your kids. Set online boundaries. Stay informed on digital dangers. Okay? Now let's engage in the comments, because I'm keen to know what you think about the lessons from Adolescence. I can see some comments on the screen already, and asking questions like, would you recommend that 14 to 16-year-olds watch the series? See, that's a very good question, because we're into certifications. Now, if it depends on the certification, okay? It really depends. Patricia is her name. It will depend on the certification. Some of the content is rough. I would say it's rough for a 14 to 16-year-old to hear that. But if you sit down with the child, I don't know whether it's 15A or 15. Feel slightly embarrassed that I didn't confirm that. Well, we watched it. We're definitely older than 15. But one thing you can do, you watch it, sit down and watch it yourself. I'm guessing Patricia is a lady. Sit down if you have a partner, sit down with your partner, consume the content, and feel free to sit down if you so conclude with your young one. And if you don't agree, two of you can't seem to agree, your partner that is, on whether the content is suitable, then, you manage the discussion in proxy without them really watching it. So you pull out the learning points or the key points and then have the communication with your young one as we have advised. Let me look at more. Someone is asking, am I the first person to send a comment? No, you're the second. Actually, no, you're the first. I know why, because you can put your address in it. Well, I don't understand your question, and I hope it is not spam. But ultimately, you have to get, into communicating with your young one. So we'd like to know in the comments what you think about the lessons from Adolescence. Like the video if you indeed liked it. Share it with your family and friends. You must share this to help more parents like you to stay cyber aware. Okay? I really do believe that if you can watch it as a parent, because obviously you are allowed to certification wise, watch it and engage your children accordingly, as we've mentioned. Okay, I've been your host, Lawrence Edem. Until tomorrow at 6 p.m. God bless and goodbye.